there are many issues that you're handling, of course, as the agriculture CS, but fertilizer was front and center of very many things around your tenure. Was there fake fertilizer or substandard fertilizer? You said yes, there was substandard fertilizer. Did you ever apologize to the farmers who got substandard fertilizer?
Eric, first of all, let me correct your statement, because at no stage did I say I will be coming to spill the beans. I said I will come to tell the country the truth, and I'm not here to defend myself. First, we must be able to get each other right, because this is not a court of law, number one. I am just here to really do to perform my civic duty as a responsible citizen. I am here to really make the people aware of those other things that probably they may not have known. I am here to dispel the rumor that there was fake fertilizer. And I'm here to depoliticize the whole story and the whole process, because this thing was sensationalized. The whole story was politicized, and people have never known the truth. So I am here, not because I'm defending any job, not because I want anything, but I am here to answer to my conscience, for the people to know what the truth is, as is. Whatever they want to do, where the information is their business. But I must get this matter to the public, because, you know, it has not been easy for 10 months out there. And, you know, I've been quiet. And I realized this matter is not just ending, and Kenyans are really want to hear from Linturi. And because I did not even speak in Meru. You know, Mithika Karua was visiting the people's deputy president in Wamunyoro. And as a sister and somebody, we've been together for a long time, because we even served in parliament together and in the agitation of the new constitutional order. I was invited, and being a person from the region, we had to go there. So when I was given the opportunity to speak and talk, and I had leaving the podium, the crowd started talking. I was saying fertilizer.
Yes.
So under duty, I felt really this thing is something weighty and requires an answer.
Right.
So I got back to the podium and told them, now, siari butamu, why story, if that is what you want to hear. And because we were running short of time, I sent our seek audience with some of the major TV stations or radio stations and be able to explain. So first, please, thank you for according me this opportunity. And I think I will be able to tell the public the truth about this thing,
fertilizer,
about this thing. And so if you may allow me.
The first question, I'd like to just ask because the question, even as they were asking you about fertilizer, is, was there fake fertilizer? Question number 1A, was there substandard fertilizer? Question number 1.
Good questions, good questions. And because I think this country and Kenyans are highly in digital, I want to invite anyone who is listening to me to go to the dictionary, go to Google, get the meaning of fake and get the meaning of substandard. Then we can now be on the same wavelength. We can now be able discussing or comparing mangoes and mangoes, not mangoes and apples. And remember, even when I sat as the minister, I clearly sat to say in stations, I remember I was even hosted by Mwaura in Citizen and told him, my friend, let me tell you, what we have is a standard fertilizer. It's not fake. So when you look, anyone who was looking at the meaning of the one fake is completely not genuine. It's counterfeit, right? Which has intentions of deceiving and fraud. That is what fake says. Substandard means it's something that falls short of the standard that was set.
And is that what it was?
So what I am saying here now is, if you want to listen, you give me time, because if you knew what the answers, I will not be here. So what I have been trying to tell the Kenyan people is that we discovered there was substandard fertilizer. And I would say there was standard fertilizer and not fake. And let me tell the country that, my tenure, right, is really remembered for increased production in maize. We filled our granaries. We brought down the value, the cost of unga from the 200 and something shillings when this administration took over, and to around 120, 118 by the time I was leaving office. That was as a result of the fertilizer subsidy program that we were running. So when there's a set standard of fertilizer, for example, if we were to use NPK, the fertilizer set standard was, for example, one of them was 10, 26, 10, meaning nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium should be in those percentages. So when you produce fertilizer that fell short of the standard of 10 and produce 8, or 26 and do 24, or 10 and do 7, that does not mean the product cannot be taken up by the plant. What that means is that you may not be able to get maximum benefit. The plant may not get the maximum benefit after the consumption of that fertilizer because it has gone down the standard. So that is the position. That is how it happened. And that facts are stubborn. They will never change. And probably why I thought it was necessary, because, when this matter became so politicized, we lost direction in terms of management. Because, we were in a country where, when subjected to a lynch mob, nobody wants to hear the truth. And when you're also in a situation where you are trying to address issues, you are not in full control, right, of what you want to do, how you want to bring out things, right? Then, and you see some of your work, or part of your work, is also being done by other people who at times are also contradicting the positions you are taking, then the matter becomes very messy. So and that is the situation we were in. And that's why I am here, for people to know that is what happened, and then be able to share the experience on how the confusion came about.
That is very good. So let's set the record straight. There was a donation of several million metric tons or 1,000 metric tons into the country. Correct?
President?
There was a donation from Russia
of
several metric tons.
You are not sure how many they were?
You tell us. You'll tell us. When they came into the country, how did they get to the farmers? What's the process of that donation going all the way to the farmer?
Now, Eric, the story I remember, and I said, we must tell the country the truth. Even before I go there, because you are in a hurry of bring out issues rather than give me all the time to explain, because I don't even have covered that one. And I was trying that, saying we are not in full control of what's happening. I remember on the 10th up to around 7th of April, because this is when this matter was very hot, I was out of the country. I was in Central African Republic, and I was there with the president. And my PS, Mr. Rono, is the one who sent me a clip and a letter, them organizing, telling me this is what is happening in the country, and we want you to issue a statement. I don't know, I can't issue a statement from Central Africa, and I do not know exactly what is happening. So he went further and wrote a letter and meeting that they were suspending or actually directing NSPB to stop the distribution of that fertilizer even before I was back in the country. Of course, I explained this matter to my boss. And when I explained to him, we agreed on once I'm back immediately, because there was that matter is the first thing I need to address. So when we agreed on immediately I come back, I call the manufacturer or the supplier of that fertilizer early morning for me to discuss and get a way forward on the matter. These characters were not picking my call, right? I couldn't understand how. Only later to understand that the previous day, right, at the office of the president in Felix Kosgei's office, because that's where the matter, most of the matter was taking place and discussed, I directed the arrest of these Indians. And when I was looking for them, they were in Mithika police station. So as I was sitting or looking for them, these people now could not understand how I would be looking for them, and I think that is why they did not pick my call. Yet they had already been condemned, put in, the DCI was recording statements, and that is now where the mess came from. Because I had different instructions on how to handle the matter from my boss. The head of public service was in the country with the PS, doing things differently from what we had agreed. There was a disconnect in terms of how we need to address the matter. And when this didn't happen, I also told my boss, my friend, look, this is what has happened. The Indians have refused to come. And there is nothing now we can do, because though they were supposed to own up to the substandard fertilizer, which has been found, which was found in the market belonging to their company, and because they could not, then he said, told me, go and close that factory. And I asked, how do I close the factory? I'm not DCI. I am not the standards body. Yeah, so the police were organized for me. The DCI himself who took me to Thika to go and inspect and check what was happening. And at the end, with the instructions from your boss, you will definitely do that. And we went, we found what was happening, and that we did what was required to have done, because they picked or confiscated a number of bags of fertilizer. Now, your second question now, because I think that was very important, and I don't do, Eric, I'm not coming here to defend anyone. I just want to tell the truth, right? I'm willing just to tell the truth. And I said, whatever you want to know, the truth is your business. So when we received it is true, and this is where I suspect the problem of substandard came from. We got 34,000 metric tons of
fertilizer raw material.
Fertilizer raw material from Russia. We also got 16,000 tons from Algeria. So we're talking of 50,000 metric tons of donated material to this country for farmers. And nobody knows exactly about that whole story. And this is where the story is, right? Forget this fake and nonsense, yeah? Because it's neither here nor there.
When you say nobody knows the story, the procurement, is that what you mean?
No,
or what element?
Relax. Yeah. You relax.
No, I know. We're coming to you. We just also want to, in the interest of time.
I said if you knew what you want to tell the current public, I should not have been here. Right? So, the 4,000 metric tons and the 16,000 metric tons. First, the 16,000 metric tons was urea. Urea is brought in the country, or urea is what you used for top dressing. It's a finished product. This other material, that 4,000, was to be blended for us to produce fertilizer for distribution to the farmers. So instructions were given.
So all of the Russian donation,
yes,
needed to be blended.
Yes,
all of it.
The whole of the Russian fertilizer.
All of the 16,000 tons from Algeria.
Yes,
was urea.
Was urea.
Did not need to
urea
be blended.
Is a finished product. You did not need to blend urea.
Okay.
There was no need for blending urea because urea is a finished product. So I remember I was with the president in Tigania, in Mithika Linturi, when I got that instruction. And I asked now, this blending of this fertilizer story, how do we go about it? How do we go about it? Because now, at times, it may end up being very difficult to export fertilizer out of the country and to receive in the country, export out of the country, and then re-export it back to the country. Because we have issues with customs. We have the border points. We have stories that will be asked. Then he told me, you will deal with the matter. So from there, that was the end of the story.
Let me get your concern here.
Right?
We're going to go into a break and then we come back and continue.
Yeah, let me finish because I want to finish that one.
This is the end of the matter.
No,
your concern.
I am not. The matter is not over.
The capacity to blend.
No.
Was that the concern you are?
No,
what exactly
no.
were you asking the president?
Is because the fertilizer or the is supposed to be done some in Kenya and the other one outside the country.
Why?
So I had the problem of how you would export material that is already in the country outside and bring it back. That's the question. So, because the matter was to address the matter, I left it there. I have never followed it up. But when these issues arose again, I really wanted to understand. I realized the PS, my PS wrote to KRA seeking for an export permit for the export of fertilizer outside, of the material outside. And then KRA confirmed giving the entry, the export permit outside. And then the re-export of the fertilizer was to be blended and come back again. So that is a matter it was just got to know later, and I think is important because the PS wrote that letter.
Can we take a break there, Mr. Linturi, because we're going into a break and we want to give you the time to explain those facts. We are going to a break. This is Fixing the Nation. We're hosting former Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mithika Linturi. We'll be back at the top of the hour with some news fix, and to get back into that conversation, stay with us. This is Fixing the Nation, one conversation at a time.
Indeed, our conversation then continues with the former Cabinet Secretary, Mithika Linturi. And just before we went to the break, you were at the point where you were explaining the 34,000 metric tons of raw fertilizer material from Russia needed to be blended. And you had a conversation with the president on the process of blending, where you were asking about the process of taking the donation out of the country, blending it outside the country and bringing back into the country. As we get into this, I want to understand, why are you having a conversation about taking it out of the country? Was it that we do not have the capacity to blend raw fertilizer in Kenya?
Eric, I think, of course, we have capacity challenges in the country, and very few people maybe have the ability to do it. And I think the bulk of the fertilizer went to a company called Maisha Minerals, and I'm happy that the PS himself wrote to the MD, National Cereals and Produce Board, telling him, you realize out of all these letters, there is none that I've ever written. So these all letters were being copied to me. I only remember writing one letter in December asking them to make sure that standards were adhered to. So he wrote to Kimote, tell him, Kimote, now we have this fertilizer, and for that material, So ensure that you source, companies that can be able to blend. So that is far much after my discussion, and because the procurement function, it was not mine, and I expected that this was done properly, and until there was any issue, I would not have known. So the PS wrote telling them, get some blender, make sure that the fertilizer is properly shared, and then let us get more fertilizer for the farmers. That was the end. Until these issues arose is when I really got to really a lot of interest to know exactly what happened, and especially when the issues of the complaints about the standards arose. And then, since, remember, gentlemen, I wrote a letter in December telling you to have every company supplying fertilizer, right, file the results or not, the results of the fertilizer they intend to sell with you, just in case there is any query in terms of quality, we were able to pick it up. So companies, a number of companies, by the way, were supplying fertilizer. There was a company called Mavuno, there was Maisha Minerals, Minjingu, and others. And during this time, to be honest, there was only SLNDR. There is only one company that's been given special treatment, because all the suppliers of fertilizer in this country were doing it by what we call consignment. Unaleta fertilizer yako, inauzwa, you are paid, something like that. But this SLDR is the only company that was given an LOC, which never happened anywhere else. Beyond a billion shillings. And that was preferential treatment. So even when the LOC terms became quite a bit of expensive, an approval was given by the PS himself to extend the LC, and at an additional cost of 26.1 million. This is the letter. This, this was completely, in my view, not very right, because this length treatment was not really proper. But all the other companies supplied by consignment. And by consignment, they will supply and get paid. But you also realize the fertilizer that was given for blending was also supplied, right, or taken back to us. And I believe it was paid for. So listen, so when the issue of substandards came, I asked, and there is a question.
I'm at a loss, Mithika. At what point did we get fertilizer, the donation from Russia leaving the country? Did it leave the country?
So you see, what I am telling you, Latif, is that the PS has written to Kimote, look for blenders.
Locally.
Right? Look for people to blend.
Okay.
And because he has been told to look for people to blend, the MD has to do it. The matter that Andy raised about export, the PS himself, on 9th of February, wrote the commissioner of KRI requesting for a tax waiver of what goes out there. And then is also asking for a grant of export permit. So if you're asking for a grant of, as the PS Agriculture, for an export permit, just wait, you can get the money if you want later. It means they had already found somebody to go and blend. So that's what happened. And this was done on 29th of February. So the PS has written to
the KRI commissioner.
KRI later writes and says they have no objection. You can export.
And in all of them, you are copied.
Right? So all these papers, but you see, you can copy and then you don't give the letter. These ones, most of them, that is exactly what happened. And I only, I got the letters by virtue of my being in my office. And the first person that was being copied was Felix. and then me and Dungu and the others. Now, let me explain the most important thing, because this is what I want Kenyans to understand about the substandard, about the fake, so that it gets out of them. We have received the donated fertilizer. We have been asked to blend it. It has been given to people for blending. The fertilizer has been blended. There are complaints out there about fertilizer not, appearing or looking like it is. And innocently, I defend it completely because I never knew. But only later now, because I had written to NSPB to get to know the composition of the fertilizer they were supposed to sell. Then I also asked Kenyan Bureau of Standards, what is this story that we have substandard fertilizer, and yet the surveillance function of your fertilizer, of goods or standards bond is the one that is as the mandate of surveillance to get to know what items of what quality are in the market and how to deal with it. So when these issues arose that way and such complaints were there, because this is a letter that came from Mukwana, who was then the PS industry, right? And
I'd like to see copies of
what time
to carry.
What time that the letter was written. I want that letter to flow properly, and because I had made a proper official complaint. Remember, I was also in discussion with the DCI because we wanted to know exactly how these things are happening. And because we're in constant, and it's really unfortunate I have to do this, but because with the conscience I have, and the burden I have carried for a long time, and even with the threat of reconstructing files and changing Linturi, the country must know the truth, so that nobody hands under any kind of clown that they never knew, or shift the blame to Linturi, who never knew anything. And because we're in discussion, you can see what the DCI wrote and told me. They had already, the impounded fertilizer that we thought and the issues had already been impounded or confiscated. Mm-hmm. But with the direct, but after discussions, what does it say? After discussions, it has been decided. As for discussions with the end of public service, the consignment must be released.
What the PS has given me to, the CS, former CS has given me to read here is what you say is a screenshot of a message.
Yes.
And in this screenshot, you say the person who wrote this message said, "Morning PS, last evening I discussed the issue of the fertilizer impounded in Mombasa by the multi-agency team with the head of public service. It's been decided that we release the consignment as we wait for the outcome of the KEBS results. You may now proceed and arrange for the collection. Coordinate with Mr. Karaoke CP," and gives a number there if you may require any DCI assistance. Regards, M. Amin, DCI, CC, Hops. This is
yes, it's a conversation. It's a conversation. It's a text message.
Of course, we cannot verify the authenticity of this.
Well, I'm telling you, I'm saying it. So it is not your business. I told you I came here to say the truth.
That's okay, but
if anybody wants to put me into question, I am ready.
Yeah, we're just stating that this is what you are saying.
Yes, that's what I am saying. It is not you saying. It is me who is saying, and I'm very clear in my mind.
Now,
so there has been told, what I want you to understand, the people, is a decision has been made. It's even beyond the DCI, so I mean, that's no problem.
Release the consignment.
The consignment has to be released. And because the consignment has to be released, it's asking me to go and organize for its release. I never bought that, right?
Okay.
So, awaiting what?
Waiting for the outcome of the KEBS results.
So, these are the KEBS results. Bring that letter. What does the KEBS results say?
Yeah, just pass them.
Again, this is a screenshot of an email from the MD, Maisha Minerals, and to manage.
It's not a
director
screenshot. That's a photocopy.
Right, it's a photocopy.
Well, letter.
So it says recall of non-compliant fertilizer, recall on non-compliant products in the batch.
It's written to who?
To
the company.
The managing director, Maisha Minerals and Fertilizers Limited, and all that. So in this particular one, what you're saying is that there was testing done by Kenya Bureau of Standards. What were the results of the test?
You've been to school. I'm telling you to read what the letter is saying.
Market surveillance have established that the product named NPK 10-2610, a planting fertilizer batch, number this and the other, failed to comply with the requirements of the standard nitrogen, phosphorus, nitrogen compound fertilizers 2019. Failed to comply with the standard.
Now I can explain.
Okay.
Right?
Explain.
So this is now after fertilizer has been released, and there is the messenger after discussion. We release awaiting the results from KEBS.
Yeah.
Later KEBS results, when you look at the dates, comes and tells us the fertilizer does not meet
The standard.
standard.
So it's already in the market.
And it's already the market has been consumed. Some of it has been consumed. So when I tell you the issue was not about fake, it's about the standard. That is why you will find, even in the wisdom of the DPP, in the wisdom of the DCI, anybody that was investigated, right, in the sale of fertilizer to NCPB, when you look at the charge sheet for those that were charged, there is nowhere you'll find that one is being charged with the issue of fake. It's about supply of substandard, offering substandard goods in the market, contrary to Section 9 or subsection 4 of the Standards Act.
So does it make a difference?
It makes a difference because I am telling you, we didn't have any fake fertilizer.
All right.
The fertilizer fell short of the established standard. And the plants, our crops, could consume that fertilizer. So their yield will not be able to will not get optimal yield because they fell short of those things. So I would want
What does the law say, CS, about sale of anything substandard? If KEBS goes and finds that something is substandard in the market, is it then allowed to allow that to continue? This letter that you have given us, if we go by this letter, if it's authentic, then in view of the above, you are ordered to recall all non-compliant products in this batch from NCPB, depot in Theka, and any other outlet within 24 hours.
Yes.
It means that substandard should not be consumed. True?
Yeah, because you know there's an aspect of fraud or theft. Because you'll be selling at a price that is for the food, for the actual standard, but you are telling more exorbitantly because it doesn't meet the standard.
Okay.
So you are supposed to, they are supposed to recall just to ensure that there is compliance with regard with the standard. But you are forgetting, Eric, that when the results are, when we are being recalled, and there was an instruction to withdraw, to release the fertilizer, this fertilizer is not in store. It's already been distributed to the farmers. To the farmer. So you cannot really say this was a Linturi problem, it was an issue of a ministry problem. So that is
whose problem
the
is
situation. That I am not here to apportion blame. So I am telling.
No, you're here to explain.
Yeah. I'm here to explain.
So whose problem
and because the listeners can discern what comes out of this discussion and the information we're giving, let them do it. Right? Don't put me. I told you I'm not coming here to defend myself with anything. If they make good their threats, then there is the court of law. We will be able to defend ourselves there.
Sure.
So,
you're not coming to defend yourself. You will allow us to.
I am here to answer to a political responsibility.
That's okay.
And a civic duty.
That's okay. When we have a few questions just to ask as follow-up, I think you'll allow us to do that. So you're not going to talk about who you think should be blamed or who takes responsibility. Eric has just asked, because I think that's something people would want to know. Who should take responsibility?
Over what?
Over the information that you're saying was not verifiable. Eric, It's about who needs to take blame for this.
Distribution of substandard fertilizer.
Let me tell you.
All the way to the farmer.
When we ask you to sell or NCP invited suppliers to sell fertilizer, they are saying we require fertilizer NPK 10-26-10, for example. So, and KEBS has given you a standard mark of that kind of fertilizer. And we expect you to operate within the law as a supplier. Then you take into the market the wrong product. So, and the MD of NCPB has nothing to do with quality, right? At least he has exercised his duty from the time of procurement, and when the time of supply comes, you tell me how possible it is to test 1 million bags from the NCPB. They have no capacity. So once the goods have gone to the market and there is, that kind of noise or intel that so this and that counterfeit is out there, is not is in the market, it goes now for the law enforcement agencies to take it up and really check to know what the correct position is. And that's why I think Kenyan Bureau of Standards was saying, or wrote to the owner of the company telling him, there's a fertilizer that you've manufactured or you have blended falls short of the standard. So recall your fertilizer. And it is normal. It is normal because the air embassy, the 747 MAX, when it had an accident and people had issues, there was recalled. We have so many, including drugs in the market here, that fall standard, and once established, they are recalled. So in any manufacturing industry, these things are likely to happen. But I'm telling you, the problem of this matter was the politicization of the matter and the blame game that came into it. So it's not a big deal. And then objective, it is a big deal. I'm not saying it's not a big deal. You also have to be responsible. It is a big deal.
Okay.
And I want to tell you, number one, I want to remind you this. Remember, our subsidy program, when we brought it in, people were suffering, people didn't have food. We've brought food down the table. We have forced fertilizers to a price of 2,500, right? We started by 3,500 to 2,500. You think the companies that supply or the agro dealers or people sell fertilizer in the country were happy? They were not. So there was war all over, including what people were saying was donkey, dung, or whatever it is. You cannot run away from thinking that even unscrupulous business people can go and try to soil such a good program by introducing such mess just to discredit a program that was running very well.
Can we take a listen to what the farmers had to say? We also want to, at some point, run a clip of some of the former CS appearing before the committee in Parliament. But first, let's just get a feel of what the farmers had to say and come back to this conversation. Let's play that clip.
That is that time.
Mbolea tukia ni chafu. Unapata ingine sijui fumbi, sijui mimi napata mchanga juu ya kujenga hii. Tunashindwa ni mbolea ama ni nini?
Ninahimiza serikali watusaidie, waone vile watatufanyia, sababu tumetayarisha mashamba. Kwa sababu hii mbolea ni mbaya kwa sababu mchanga iko ndani. Mbolea ni mbaya. Si ati tunasema, hata watu wameona, kila tumeonyeshana.
Mpigo kwetu. Tumetumia pesa kutafuta mbolea, tunanunua subsidize, but it's unfortunate tunapata si fertilizer.
That's a member of Parliament for Ndai, and who unfortunately was my friend.
So, Honorable Linturi, is it coincidental this honorable member is making calls for your dismissal, and when the motion arrives before the House, it has 32 cases she has filed against you, and she has lost all of them? Is it a coincidence?
It isn't. In fact, this is the move of the motion by proxy.
She's the mover of the motion by proxy.
So, Mithika, you have taken us, through a chronology of what was happening in all these things, and you've given us, this is what happened. The PS was taking action as is required, but he was keeping you in copy. KEBS took action, ordered for recall of the batch of fertilizer that were found to be substandard, and so on and so forth. You've heard from the farmers. This is the farmers that were crying at that point, that we spent money to go and buy fertilizer, and we're finding that this fertilizer is substandard. And this is the basis upon which the matter went for even your impeachment in Parliament. And we've just heard how you were explaining this. If we look back at all of them, there have been charges that were taken to court on matters of fraud, and they're criminal charges. When you say that, it is more of politics than of responsibility, Kenyans question themselves and question you.
Let me tell you.
Are you saying that you had absolutely no role to play as the cabinet secretary in charge of agriculture on this? Or are you saying that there is no responsibility that you take?
I think
this happened
you also need to open your ears properly. When I came here, I said I am coming to answer to a political responsibility. That's what I said. I did not come here to answer to a legal question or an issue. And I have put it clearly. I have tried to explain. And whatever you are playing here is what I have tried to explain here. That, yes, I have admitted the part of the fertilizer was substandard. I have said the whole subsidy program, took business from the players in the market. So you cannot run away from a fact that even those that wanted to mess up such a successful program for commercial reasons probably wouldn't have done that kind of business. And that's why I'm saying the investigative agencies would have taken up that matter now to check on where the problem arose from. And this was done, this really took some bit of time, and even now, right? The matter is still in court. I have told you, even those people that are charged in court, are charges to do with the offer for sale of substandard goods, offer production of substandard items. So don't push me into answering things that were dealt with at the impeachment level. And whatever happened at the impeachment level was to check whether I had any role or responsibility to do with the procurement. If you know the functions of a minister is a policy maker. He's not involved in the supply. You've been in news for a long time, my friend, and you must know the role of a CEO of a company and its board, the minister, the responsibility of accounting for monies in a ministry is the role of the PS, unless you are serving other interests or you're acting on behalf of somebody. Because that thing to me is not necessary.
Do you take any responsibility?
I have no responsibility because, number one, I don't procure. Look, I was not involved in the procurement, but I exercised my responsibility by writing and telling NSBB.
Okay.
Because you are buying fertilizer, please ensure that the fertilizer supplied meets the standard. Okay. Right? That was a closed matter.
All right. I want to follow up a little bit on Eric's question. Let me see if I can frame it this way. Is that Parliament may have cleared you of wrongdoing, but could this have been prevented? If you're looking at hindsight, what could have been done differently? Whether it's from procurement, whether it's from oversight, whether it's from stakeholder communication, what could have been done differently?
You see, I am telling you, you said you and Janet, once, say the ministry got the budget to procure, and the PS told NSBB procure, and the NSBB procured the suppliers of the fertilizer. And for any tender that you do in this country, there are specifications of what you are supposed to supply. So if anybody supplies less in terms of quality, in terms of things, if you have done any business, you will realize that even the small suppliers of small items, there's a document they call S13, that is a committee formed to check the quality and standard of whatever is applied. They do a report before you are paid. So how I don't micromanage SPMB? How do I now take over the role of an MD and his team at NSPMB once I'm being given a budget, tell them to supply or to procure people to sell? It's not possible. So that's the politics you want to bring back to this matter, which I'm saying are the ones that messed up the whole program, right?
You take no moral or political responsibility over this. Let me ask the question. There's a company called MEMS Distributor. You know it?
Proceed.
It was awarded a contract, and it has zero experience in fertilizer business since its inception in 2013. You know about that?
I'm telling you, my friend, let me tell you. Am I the one that was applying or supplying fertilizer?
Do you know the company? Yes.
Do you know what is called criminal responsibility as individual? So if you cannot just say that, because you have to check what the tender requirements for anybody to qualify to supply. Wow. So that question can better be answered by Kimote. And he's alive.
Do you know the company?
He was the MD. So why do you want me to answer questions that do not belong to my domain?
Do you know the company?
Yeah?
Just say whether you know the company, yes or no.
Let me tell you. How do you know a company? Or when did I know the company? Am I the registrar of companies?
That's what I'm asking.
No, I'm asking you whether I'm the registrar.
As the cabinet secretary.
I'm the registrar. So the cabinet...
Who is copied on all these things, you are copied.
So have you seen any letter copied to me giving me or the names of the companies that were being supplied? I'm just picking up the information that I'm able to gather from the correspondence that I have.
So you have not come across any correspondence that has this company involved?
No, I wouldn't
but
say,
you have come across
but you see, it was deceitful.
Wait, Mithika, you have come across correspondence that has SLDR, and you've mentioned them, Aisha Minerals, you've mentioned them, you've mentioned Kel Chemicals, you've mentioned them, but this particular one, you have not come across any correspondence.
By the way, let me tell you, I did not even mention Kel. You have things in your mind. And this one, I'll take you and on. You have things in your mind about whoever you want to act or take brief for.
Who are the Indians?
And because
they referred to?
I said Indians, there can be very many Indians.
But
so you should have waited for me to explain who the Indians are.
In Parliament.
And I am saying...
In Parliament, you said which this company was.
So, no, you see, we are not done with the question.
In Parliament, you have ever mentioned this company?
I did not say, I did not mention.
Okay.
Right?
So do you
and
know
I
this
even told you, I have even the charge sheet for Kel, for NEET this year. I was prepared. It's because you are running too fast. If there's somebody watching to see how you work on this matter, one behind the slow, I will take you through. Right? Because I'm not casting aspersions. Because when I told you I went to Thika, when I told you I went to Thika to close a factory, right? You did not even ask how. I am the one who offered to tell you how the police were organized, how we went.
Which company did you close?
This Muindi is the one that was arrested from Harambee House, taken back to the police, taken to Muthaiga, right? These Muse are the ones that I wanted to meet on that early morning, so that
they're affiliated with KELS.
You see, KEL is a manufacturer. So when in the course of investigations, if I remember well, if my memory serves me right, you would also sell through an agent. So MEMS was an agent for KEL, right? For KEL. So who takes the manufacturing responsibility is the manufacturer, right? Because the agent, right, cannot be the manufacturer. And the charge sheet that I have here...
Because I've been asking a yes or no question. You basically answered yes. You know MEMS distributor.
Let me tell you, because that is you have to listen to what I am telling you. this charge sheet has MEMS. So you can't tell me I have never heard about the MEMS. I am the one carrying it.
Yeah.
I came here willing to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're not being patient enough.
I asked you the question, and it was very direct. Do you know MEMS distributor?
What do you
ever
think?
come across MEMS distributor?
What do you think? If I have a change sheet here,
and you told me
what
you're
do
not
you think?
KRA, you're not the one who registers, you're not this and the other. So now at least we know you know MEMS
Understand
distributor.
the context of asking whether you know. If you ask me whether I know Eric,
You do not
I have
you do
just
not
met
understand the
Eric here
context.
was a
now.
very
I don't know who
direct
your
question.
father is. I don't know who your mother is, where you come from. I don't know. So I can't say, right, that I know you. I've just met you. So when you meet a company, kwa vitabu na nini, it's different from saying, I know when this company was founded, I know the directors, I know everybody there, right? But you see, during the course of inquiry in Parliament, and that's what I'm not doing. I'm not coming to reopen the issue that was discussed in Parliament. There's a member of Parliament from the senator for Trans Nzoia. He's the one who brought about the issue of MEMS, telling me, this is your brother-in-law. So once that's what he said.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
And he told you, he asked you this question in the Senate.
That is what he said.
What was the response then? What was your response then?
What was my response?
Okay,
I said he's not my father-in-law. He's my brother-in-law.
Let's listen to the clip. We actually have a clip of what how he responded in the Senate.
As a member of Parliament for Undai, and who unfortunately was my friend.
So, Honorable Linturi, is it coincidental this honorable member is making calls for your dismissal, and when the motion arrives before the House, it has 32 cases she has filed against you, and she has lost all of them. Is it a coincidence?
It isn't. In fact, this is the move of the motion by proxy.
She's the mover of the motion
Yes.
by proxy.
So why is MEMS in that clip?
So when you asked the question in the Senate, because we've played a different clip here about what you are then saying that you feel is the politics behind the motion. When the question was asked of you in the Senate about MEMS distributor and the directors and owners of MEMS distributor, what was your response?
Refresh my mind. Give me the clip. I'll remember. Then I'll tell you. Play the clip.
Do you remember?
No, I'm telling you to play the clip.
If you remember, maybe you can just tell
No,
us
I
so that we
remember.
don't run the
Play
clip.
Once you play the clip, right, I won't be able to respond appropriately. I told you the matter to do with the investigation were concluded. You have not. This is not an judicial institution or body to question. That matter was rested. Actually, legally, we say it's res in judicata. So you can't bring me here to start asking me about a clip, a matter that was, a ruling has been done by the Speaker, a body of Parliament has rested the matter. That's why not I came here. I came here because there's public pressure for the people to know.
It's a political issue, right?
So
political issues never rest.
So
you know this. You're a seasoned politician.
You are the ones that keep them alive for cheap gains or for cheap reasons.
You are a politician, Mithika.
That's why I came.
And
I
you're
am
here to
telling
take
you, I will not have mentioned it.
responsibility.
If the public did not ask me in Nyeri about the issue, I understand the matter. And this is the last time I will be discussing that issue, because you can't keep somebody, you can't resuscitate a dead body. It is not possible. If you are keen enough or you are ready to listen to the whole story, even if it doesn't serve your interest, and your audience, and you know the kind of sensational kind of lie that you are to trying to play around at the Linturi files. What files? Everybody thinks outside there, Mithika came here carrying a pickup because there is so much information to be given. Don't be sensational. Let's be objective.
You compressed it into a number of files. You brought files.
Let us. No, these are papers. Lyric. Yeah. These are not files. So those are files. And remember, when you came here, you don't know why even in court. you are told if you are going to, if you are accused of anything, you must know what your charges are. You must be given time to prepare your own defense. So you also can't ambush me by playing clips here. I
don't think it's an ambush.
So if you are being honest, right, and the story, you should have told me what you want, and so that I don't refresh my mind. Or secondly, give me the opportunity to explain and see where the gaps going, or compare what I'm telling you and whatever information that you have, then probably you would have sought clarification.
No, what I'm not understanding, are you saying that you are ill-prepared to come and speak to the nation? Or what? Because you have come with documents
and we've let you speak.
Chronology, and we have let you speak, and we've even just asked questions to clarify.
I am not even
I'm not even
the document I wanted to share with you.
Further to your own statements, Mithika, we are asking you the question. So this happened. There was substandard fertilizer, as found by the Kenya Bureau of Standards, substandard fertilizer. And you've told us, even by the time the Kenya Bureau of Standards was saying that there's substandard fertilizer, there had been some other conversation within government that had released the fertilizer. So it had already gone to the farmers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you've also told us that when you were in Congo with the president, the PS called you and told you need to address a matter. You came and you realized
we were with them there. He did not go.
The PS told you, right? And by the time you're coming back, you realize that some of the players in this have also been summoned by the DCI. They are in custody. You've told us all this.
Yes.
So we are asking now for, because you've mentioned all this, we are now asking the others that you've previously mentioned. Among them, MEMS distributor. And it really baffles me that you have such recollection of everyone else and even documents, but this one, you don't.
My friend, right?
Why?
It's not about why. I am telling you, I have even a charge sheet here. I was preparing to answer the question. It's not that I don't know. I even know what he's charged with. Those ones I'm giving you were never even investigated. They have never been charged. You should ask why.
Okay,
if you are objective enough, that's what you need asking. Because these were not the only ones. So wewe kama utaki kusikia uko na story yako utaambia wa Kenya. So give me time, nielezee wa Kenya, right? What I know about this. Your story is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 7 minutes left.
So I know MEMS from the charge sheet and even the report, the letter recommending
Commission.
From the DPP.
The DPP, yes.
Recommending their changes are here and their charge sheet is there. So I know them. Right? They used to have told even you raised the issue saying it's my brother-in-law. I have no brother-in-law by that name. Yeah? But you see, when I told you, I don't want us to, when you politicize a matter, you lose objectivity. Right? And that's why, with your honesty, right, I must tell you, we have to be fair with everyone. What I have gone through in this matter is not what I want to wish my worst enemy. No. Because, you see, you can't be in a position whereby things are done without you knowing, and then you are being told to be responsible. It can't happen. So you cannot finalize a matter today, and then it's never ending, because everybody else wants to bring it up. So, honestly, I thought this was the best time, because it was this. Otherwise, I would not have sought an audience within one. But because I have a political responsibility, I have a moral conscience. I am a politician. I've built my career over a long time. 20 years is not a short time for me to just keep quiet as people try to throw mud and dirt over me all over, even without provocation. So, and I told you it is not you to judge. And I have told Kenyans, I want Kenyans to know whatever they do with the information I give them. The questions that they want to ask thereafter can ask yes.
All of us.
Yes, they can now ask yes. We have this person. This is what happened. Who should have been doing it? Yeah, we have this the function of surveillance, the function of checking quality standards at the end too is KEBS. Why isn't the KEBS in court? Right? Why weren't they involved? Where are they? in this matter, so that it is only now, okay, there are companies, a number of them, whose fertilizer results demonstrate and they fell short of standard. Why is it that it's only one company or two that were investigated or in court, right? Why is it that very innocent members, right, were NSPB, are trying to clear themselves in court, right, for matters probably that would have clearly been properly explained. There was public pressure. People were ambling for land. People, it's a lynch mob. So someone has been dealt with in whichever way, which is wrong because you assassinate the careers of people. Look, even this thing you mentioned about this Alan in Namu investigation, because he's the one who brought about this thing. I even didn't know about the issue of fake fertilizer and then if you have the 51 capital, the atomite and those kind of things, then you'll be surprised, when Latif. By the time we was doing this thing, I didn't have any audience. Number two, I even never knew. I know he works here, he consults for you, and we're holding his brief and many others. But I said and to come here because I don't want to be stubborn. But when that matter came out, my brother, it is a nation that was doing it, well, despite a court order. So when this matter arose, my friend, I didn't know about it. Only later to investigate, and you have never spoken about it. The contract that is applied, or that it was not even a supply, by the way, because National Cereals and Produce Board is an agent, is a warehouse. Anybody who can take your goods there, people can buy from there. So this karaoke fellow decides you want to use the channel of NSPB to sell my goods and then pay NSPB a commission, because it was not under the subsidy program. And then when he takes his items there, a contract was signed on the 31st March in 2022. And then you have a story here, Mithika knows, involved in fake. I was not the minister in 2022.
Mithika,
you know, you must be able to differentiate, or even, I want to take responsibility for things that I have done personally.
And in this particular case, there's nothing that you've done.
Tell me, if a contract to sell or to provide that sort of conditioner so in to NSPB through the NSPB channels was signed in that on that 1st of March 2022. Do I have a responsibility? I don't have a responsibility.
You are merely a senator.
Yes, I was merely a senator.
I want to come as we conclude, okay? Because there's a lot that has happened. Not even the 2022 issue. This one for 23-24. And the distribution of what was found to be substandard fertilizer. And that's what you told us. A donation has come in from a foreign country. There was need to blend it. Then there was need to release it to take it to the farmers. And then there were issues of substandard fertilizer that were found. But you were telling us that here there are several other questions that need to be asked. Okay?
Yes.
So Mithika, as we sit here today, and the farmer who got substandard fertilizer and used it in their farm is asking themselves, how did this come to me in a system that has government working? What did you tell them? Who's responsible for it? To whom should he ask the question?
Of course, the questions have to be immediately asked to government, because we cannot be that irresponsible to allow substandard goods in the market. And we must also ask ourselves, under whose responsibility is that function? Because, I want to believe you have a car. You go to a petrol station innocently. You accept Kenya Bureau of Standards, EPRO and the others have done their best to ensure the consumers of petrol access good petrol.
Yes.
And when you go into a petrol station,
adulterated.
Then, and it's adulterated. And then the engine knocks. So when does that responsibility fall? Number one,
the entire
of course,
chain up to EPRA.
Right? Correct. Now, but even if it's the entire thing, that's the layman's understanding of things, everyone. But before you ask yourself, you don't narrow issues and ask yourself, before the pipeline, before petrol is pumped into a pipeline, at what were the measures that those people that are responsible for that function, right, took care? And if they did then, at what point when the petrol was being discharged into a tanker to deliver to a certain petrol station, to establish clearly who bears the highest responsibility? I'm not saying that government cannot be blamed. And that's if we are given that responsibility. I remember I was the minister, I said we are going to compensate the farmer, because what we required to do was to give them more of the top dressing fertilizer to cover up the gap of the inefficiency. But you see now here, everybody, and because every parliamentarian out there, right, is being for someone blind or has instruction, we must fix that minister or must do anything else. Nobody wants to listen to anything.
All right, Alesh, we'll come back and wind up. Just very briefly, in a few moments, your world, there'll be a conversation about whether you should date for love or stability. Wikali and Winnie will have that conversation. We are out of time at just 9 minutes to 10 a.m. Anything you'd like to add?
Final question.
It would be great to have known who Mzigo Nyanani, who bears this burden. We are out of time. I don't know that we've gotten that very clearly, or that Mr. Linturi wants to speak to that very clearly. Whose burden is, whose responsibility is it?
So this panel, this bench, does not have the capacity to determine culpability or where the responsibility falls. And now, because we have the investigative agencies, that's what I told you, they are the ones that have on duty. DPP has already, out of pressure, succumbed to pressure as a designed end to charge people. It must not end there. Let's give the cost, the process, the opportunity, because the last resort, for ones to really prove himself is through our court system, give them the opportunity for the court to do a finding. That's when you can know who is responsible. And once that is done, then we can say whether I was involved or whether I was not involved. But even from the layman's understanding of things, I am yet to see, right, where a minister has ever been involved in the procurement of goods and services from a parastatal. You would say even I would probably...
We'll leave it at that because we are completely out of time.
If it was being done here at the ministry level, probably, right, you would have said, Linturi, where will you say, you move to a party? But my friend...
Right. Nothing like that.
These people answer to parliament. These questions... If our parliament was strong enough...
completely out of time. This has been Fixing the Nation on NTV and Nation FM and across our digital platforms. 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Join us again tomorrow. Eric Latif, Mariam Bishar, Janet Bogwa. Up next, Your World. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Thank you very much. Bye.